Hello, it's Matt from Guitar Nerd, and we're here in association with Boss. I'm also here with Tim, the lovely Tim from Polymath, and we're at ArcTanGent Festival, and we're basically talking guitars and pedal boards with all of the awesome bands here this weekend. So yeah, we've got Tim, Polymath, one of my favourite bands, stonking set from yesterday. It was Thursday. It was sunnier than it was today. It was a bit wet and cold yesterday, but today we've got your pedal board. So obviously a load of bands at this festival have quite sizable pedal boards. So is there anything in particular on your board that kind of stands out to you as like something that helps you get your sound?
I guess basically the whole of the kind of front row, the most pedals that I use, I've kind of used the Micropog as one of the sounds I kind of use a lot on virtually all of our songs. That's the kind of sound I've kind of created and used and mix it up with kind of vibrato and things like that to try and mess up the sound a bit. You
use like quite an interesting 2-amp setup, don't you? So you run like almost 2 signal chains into 2 different amps.
I use the orange amp as my main signal, so it goes through all this board, and then I use the hovercraft. And that goes through this drop pedal, which is just for the sub, and that's it. And I've got the ABY pedal here, so I can put both amps on at once. Yeah. Or just have the orange on normally, and then when the bigger riffs come in, basically I whack on both those amps through the drop, so it gets a really thicker sound, and just lifts it a bit. And like when those bits happen, Joe would normally put on a sub pedal, so it kind of just gets bigger. Cool. Trying to make 3 pieces sound more than 3.
I mean, it's quite a big thing that I've noticed. Like octave plays a huge part. And kind of pitch shifting plays a huge part in the kind of bands that we're seeing this weekend. It's like becoming like one of the main things, because obviously you've got the Behringer Ultra Shifter as well, which is kind of like, and the Boss PS2, which seems to be a staple for a lot of math rock bands.
The PS2 was one of the first pedals I ever had, and I swear by it. It's so good. I use it on basically that's the first section. Number 2 has a great kind of delay on it, and one of the other songs, put it down to the one function, which has a real massive slapback delay. It was really quick, and just to create different textures during songs, and that pedal's so versatile for it. I love it.
I think it's funny because actually that pedal's now probably like 30 years old. Yeah, that's like one of the first kind of digital.
It's never been
shifters
off my board. Yeah, like, that is a main one. And then literally just got this one.
So I see you're using the there's like that's like an official thing that a company makes, right? These
little things there, which it's great. Take the knob off, whack that on there, and I can control that with my foot. So it adds the kind of effect where it makes it go really fast, really slow, and it becomes easier. So you can just put your foot on that and just move it around, and it's a lot easier to manipulate like that while you're doing it. So instead of kind of touching.
Yeah, because you do a lot of stuff with like delay manipulation, don't you?
Yeah. That's kind of, and the same with that, like using the modulation thing. I like the pitch shifting effect, but like you say, I know a lot of bands do that, so I try and make sure it's different enough from try my hardest to try and make it different.
And the last thing I wanted to kind of just talk about your board before we go on to sort of guitars is just like how you use the looper, because you use the Jam Man quite a lot. Dive Live, so I've seen you like tap a few bits into that kind of like mid-set.
That I've got a few samples recorded in and stored on it, which some intros and things like that, which kind of bridge songs or start songs. Okay. Other than that, I use it quite a lot for if there's certain kind of some of the smaller, quieter sections that we have, and you kind of play one chord with a few delays on like that. It creates that atmosphere sound. Loop that in, and then I can kind of, you've got that undertone of things kind of building, and then I can play over it.
Once again, builds up that kind of feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
Of more
and it doesn't have to be in any
stage.
time or something. You just create that kind of warming effect, and that just kind of adds another dynamic to it. Instead of just playing a line and then just Joe playing under it like that, I can then add that, and it kind of lifts the section as such. Cool. So that's why I use it quite a lot.
So I mean, alongside the kind of hefty pedal board, you also quite interestingly a left-handed guitarist that plays strung the other way up, right?
Yes.
And Hagstrom, I think you just become a Hagstrom endorser.
Yes, I've been very lucky to get involved with these guys, and I wanted to change. I've been using tellies for years, and I wanted to change to a thicker sound, and these guys are playing the guitar. I was just like, that's the sound I want to go for. It's really light, considering what it looks like. It's actually a really light guitar, really nice to use, really comfortable.
Is it because you wanted to go away from like single coils? Because there's obviously a lot of people playing tellies and going for a humbucker.
And I've used that sound for quite a lot. And I wanted to go to the humbuckers and to create that thicker, different tone. And then especially when you're writing new material and things like that, it's quite nice to go, right, I've done that. And if you play a different guitar or have a different sound, you immediately somehow kind of come up with something different. And this was perfect for it. And I had a gig the day after I first got this guitar, and we rehearsed the night before, and I was thinking, maybe I can't play it, I need to get used to it. Played it, I was like, I am gigging this tomorrow. I loved it straight away.
Awesome. So that's kind of your main sort of gigging. You've got two, right? I think you've seen another one. Is that like a spare? Or
we play in different tunings. So I mean, this is in D standard, so we kind of a bit lower. The other tuning I have in standard E with a 56 on the bottom E, and that's tuned down to B. It's kind of E standard to A, and then a B at the bottom.
Was I also right into that you tune all in fifths as well? Is that right? Were you doing something like that at one point?
No, I've experimented to do that, but it's really time consuming to teach yourself how to play the guitar again. So we're kind of doing that, and it's something I'd like to do, just to kind of you create something, because you get so used to your hand position going to the same things, and you don't realise you're playing the same things over and over again. And if something like that completely throws you, you're reworking things, and you'd hit notes that you wouldn't necessarily hit and go, that works. And I kind of like that challenge.
So, I mean, alongside that, obviously, kind of giving yourself a new challenge. You had a new record come out last year? Was that?
It was April this year. Melancholia came out. It was our second record, and it was a kind of a progression of Reptiles that came out the year before, and wanted to kind of, especially in this record, have more light and shade in it. So we've managed to kind of make the sections kind of bigger, and then we've had lots of kind of slower sections, as in Reptiles was pretty much hit you for 20 minutes. And we wanted to progress and just make the songs wider and put more textures in.
So how do you approach that from like a pedal board point of view? Do you kind of take your board and just sort of run with it, or do you just have everything separate and kind of just I'm gonna use the delay and I'm gonna use the pitch shifter, or do you kind of like have everything plugged in? And because I know sometimes you can create massive textures and then you're like, I'm gonna have to take 6 pedals on a pedal board just to kind of create that one part.
I mean, when we're rehearsing and writing, there are certain things that you're looking for a different sound. Like on this new record, when I had the PS2 to the number 1 function, I hadn't used that texture in it at all, and I was kind of playing around going, actually, I want to use that in a section to try and do something different. So I am trying to find different things to try and not repeat yourself. But in the studio, when we're recording, the pedal board gets all ripped apart, and then you take it off, and when you're listening to it back, you go, actually, it needs that sound, and you just plug it in and do it. And having them all laid out there, you can kind of pick and choose and go, actually, that'll work with that, let's try that, because you have the time to kind of do it. And I kind of like that process of experimenting and how you can make it different.
It's almost like building blocks. You can kind of add certain things in, and you can build the board up as you go along. And then it's funny because with the the kind of bands that we're seeing this weekend, I can imagine a lot of people do a similar thing, because you kind of want to create textures, but individual pedals can be more creative than a board, because a board can almost be a little bit limiting because you use the same combinations over and over
exactly.
again.
You kind of know exactly. I know what my front row hasn't changed for ages, and that is kind of the go-to bits quickly. So when writing, trying to get something else in, or just like say detune a guitar or something, or completely use a pedal like maybe off Joe's pedal board to go actually use that for bass. Let's try that, and I like that way of experimenting, to try and not repeat yourself. Cool,
awesome, man. Well, how can people find out about you, find out about your music, about your pedal board and everything?
It will be Polymath. We are Polymath at Bandcamp. That's got all of our stuff there. You can listen to that. You got the Facebook page, which is Polymath Brighton, I believe. Just anywhere like that, just search and type in, and we'll be there.
Awesome, cool. So that was Tim from Polymath, and that was Matt for Guitar Nerds. So don't forget to like and subscribe to Guitar Nerds for more videos coming from ArcTanGent soon.